Regular town board meeting Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 at 6:30 PM. If you would, please silence your cell phones and note there are two emergency exits in the rear of the room and one to my right. If you would, please stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us remain standing and remember our past Parks and Rec Director, Jody Rogers, who passed away recently of a long illness. Thank you. Would anyone like to come up and speak on behalf of the agenda items other than the public hearing? If not, we'll start with Counselor Carp. The abstracts.
Yes. Move the adoption resolution approving abstract number 22 dated June 4th, 2025, and abstract number 23 dated June 11th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no, abstain, passed. This is a continuation of the public hearing of chapter 22 of the Board of Ethics, and we will open up the public hearing. What time, Michael?
6:31.
Okay. Counselor Bacallo, would you like to have a?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Pretty clear. There was two sentences back to back that said the same thing, just removing that second sentence. And it's right in here. It says, all requests for opinions must be submitted to the board in writing. All requests for the opinions must be submitted to the board in writing. I'm just removing the second one and clearing that up. And that's what this public hearing is for.
Okay. Anyone
Makes sense.
Anybody else? No? Anybody like to come up and speak for or against?
Just one single sentence, the coding guy, but just professional courtesy, just shoot me an email.
Can you do me a favor, turn that microphone on?
On, sorry. Just professional courtesy, shoot me an email, text message, something, and just say, hey, there's a redundant sentence in the code. We're gonna change, we're gonna have a public hearing and we're gonna change it. Just, I get it, it's a duplicate sentence and it means nothing to do it, but just professional courtesy for the board, chair of the board. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Judy Boyke, in regards to the code of ethics in the town law, which is what that is, I don't understand why we had to go through the expense of a public hearing when all it was it's an amendment to the actual code. It wasn't in the Board of Ethics rules and regs that they have. So I don't understand why we had to have a public hearing just to eliminate a duplicate sentence. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Anyone else? 6:33.
Yep.
We'll close it. And move the adoption resolution to approve the changes of the town code, chapter 22
Gotta do a
10.
seeker. It's a local law. You gotta do a seeker. Let me do it.
Sure.
Move the adoption resolution that the proposed local law number,
What number we got, Trace?
11.
local law number 6 of 2025, amending section 22-10 of the town code is a type 2 action for the purpose of seeker compliance. It involves no permit granting authority outside of the town. It does not require the preparation of a draft environmental impact statement, and it will not have a negative impact on the environment.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All requests for opinions to the board in writing. All requests for the opinions must be submitted to the board in writing. Removing one of these are to clear up the grammar. Wanna-
What? Move the adoption resolution to approve the proposed local law number 6 of 2025, amending section 22-10 of the town code.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
No or abstain, passed. Okay, now we'll move on to the next one, the public hearing for the consider the plan unit development for the property located at Route 31, tax map number 91.-01-07.6, Montroy Development LLC, proposed mixed residential development, Americana of Cicero. This time I wish to waive the reading of the legal notices posted and advertised at the proper time.
So moved.
Favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. At this time, would any of the board members like to say anything about this?
No, yeah, I'd like to,
Okay, let's open up the public hearing at 6:35 PM.
These are just smaller maps of what you've already somewhat seen. Again, Tim Coyer, News and Romans. We've been working on this project for actually a number of years. We first came in for the zone change back in 2021. That's when we started the process of converting this current existing general commercial property into PUD. We have gone through the site plan process with the planning board. If you're looking at the map, I'll just give a general overview of everything. Route 31's down here, north is up. This is the American Legion here. This is the post office here. We're proposing two apartment buildings here, two apartment buildings here, and a row and townhouse units in the back. Basically, overall, there's about 120 units that we're proposing back here. It has been vetted through the DOT traffic studies. Fire department has looked at this. We went through a lot of that with the planning board. All of this is private roads. This is not going to be a public road system. This is pretty much a mixed use residential community with sidewalks, and it'll look pretty good. There is a wetlands coming through the property here. We do have our wetland permit in place for the crossings that we've done. That was one of the things that took so long to over these past 4 years now. Overall, I think we've gotten through all the mitigations with the planning board as far as engineering, DOT, what the buildings are going to look like, and gotten pretty much complete with that process. We did get the positive recommendation from the planning board. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. And we're here to kind of finalize the project.
Tim, was there an issue with the sidewalk over those
Yep.
wetlands because of the roadway, because
Yep,
it's so wide?
so if you went back to that's what the townhouses are proposed to kind of look like. You can go back to like the first one you were looking at, is fine. That'll work. So we do have sidewalks through here and around here, and we have sidewalks in this area, but we were not able to connect the sidewalks right through here. Because of the nationwide permit that we have in place, we are literally at the maximum coverage as far as what we're allowed to disturb in the wetland area, and we were not able to put the concrete walks through here. We are going to talk to the Army Corps and possibly look at some type of boardwalk through there. If we can get something that will actually work through there, we're going to entertain it. But right now, with the permit that's in place, we don't have the physical room to put the sidewalks through.
And how far from this project is the neighboring on the east side right there? How far from your project is the neighboring property?
About 500 feet to that house. And if you go to, I think it's the third, nope, keep going, maybe the next one. Oh, no, I guess I didn't put it in here. But yes, that neighboring house is over here, and it's roughly about 500 feet from these apartment buildings to their house.
Mark, is this project going to have any impact on any of those homes back there with their surface now that's going to be Tarvia and all that good stuff? Is it going to have any runoff and impact any of those people that are going to be in that neighborhood back there?
They provided a stormwater management plan that collects and treats the stormwater in
Yep.
accordance with DEC regulations. So there will be a change to the stormwater runoff, but it's mitigated by the facilities that they're providing. So essentially, there will be no change to the stormwater.
So no change whatsoever what they have there now. Was there any way to alleviate some of the pressure from the homes that were over the 500, around the 500 mark, where they clean out that area that's back there and maybe get the water to flow? Maybe it needs to be cleaned at the point in time. Is there something property wise where they join each other's property?
I don't believe that those properties to the east drain this way. I think they drain more to the north
Okay,
through the salvage yard there.
okay,
This site drains to the wetlands that Tim pointed out that, go through the site, and then that flows down to the south.
okay. I just want to make sure. We have a resident who wanted a letter read tonight.
Mr. Corey, you said mixed use. What do you mean by mixed use? Is there a commercial,
No, there's not a commercial
Okay.
element to this. This is just residential apartment.
mixed residential use?
Mixed residential use. Yep.
I'm playing a little bit of a catch up here because, I got emailed to me today a bunch of the rest, as of the rest of the board, a bunch of things in a Dropbox at 10:14 this morning.
Okay.
There's nothing to do with you, obviously. And then there's some elevations stamped yesterday in our mailboxes here. So this is something, I mean, it's not a gigantic project, but it's in a very sensitive, high traffic area that I know a lot of people are concerned about. So, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about this project and I have not had a lot of time to digest it. So there is no mixed use. Now, you got site plan, you started the site plan process a while ago. So should I assume that the new design standards that we have that apply to apartment buildings this is not compliant with those?
This
correct?
complies to the new architectural design standards.
But do they have elevators for the
I don't. Yes, elevators. are-
elevators and in-unit laundry for?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that is because I wasn't sure if it was exempted because of the age of the application. I personally, given how late this was delivered, and I understand that for the applicant, it may be time sensitive, I need some more time. Like I said, this is in a very sensitive area with a lot of traffic. There's a lot of concern, and 24 hours to me is not a sufficient amount of time to look at this before voting on it. Because I want to be able to make an informed decision. I just don't feel like I can in 24 hours with the amount of materials. But thank you for answering the question. That's all I have for now. You have anything? So I'm not prepared to vote on this tonight.
Anything else?
No, I'll read Mr. Sorry. Do you have anything else, Mr. Coyer?
I don't. All I can say is we did mitigate, go through the DOT and we have DOT approvals and all that. And that is all in the packets that you guys have with the town. So yes, I understand that you haven't gotten to go through it. So you got to do your due diligence.
Of course. I appreciate that. No, well, yeah, I was gonna say there's two other board members out here. I guess before we start the public comment, should I read the letter from Mr.? This is from Town of Cicero resident Mark Manjacaro, who lives right in the area. Supervisor Aragano and Councilor Bacallo, thank you both for taking the time individually to speak with me last week regarding the proposed Montroy Development Americana of Cicero project on Route 31. Due to a prior commitment, I am unable to attend tonight's meeting in person. Cicero is an attractive location for commercial and residential developers alike. Our town has grown quite a bit since my wife and I moved here in 1997, and with the impending Micron project literally right down the road, I have no doubt that this growth will not only continue, but likely accelerate. Growth is good. Yet, we need to ensure that we grow wisely. As with any large project, it is the obligation of the town board to ensure that all stakeholders are treated fairly. We cannot allow negative externalities to impact existing property owners. When I first learned of this project several months ago and met with Supervisor Aragano, I expressed my concerns about drainage. That concern remains to this day. Water flows through my property from neighboring properties to the north and east, then discharges to the west and south. The detention pond to the north of my house, which is just over the property line, occasionally rises to the point that it is only about an inch in elevation from flooding my basement. At that point, the water is at the sill of my basement door. While this has only happened a handful of times since 1997, the fact remains that the pond's capacity to handle additional water is extremely low. If proper steps are not taken to ensure the downstream flow is maintained at or above current capacity, my house will flood. That is a negative externality that is both foreseeable and avoidable. I make no claims to be an expert in hydrology and therefore cannot offer a specific solution. However, I do know that engineers exist with skills to design such a plan. Unless and until an engineer plan is submitted to the town that demonstrates this project is extremely unlikely to increase the water load and/or potential to flood nearby properties, the town board must not allow the project to be approved. Respectfully, Mark Mangicaro.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Anything else, Tim?
Just, as you know, full engineering plans have been done, full SWIPs, and that shouldn't be a concern.
Excellent.
Understood.
Thank you. Anyone like to come up and speak on behalf or against this project?
Hello, Rob Santucci, Braniff Circle. I have a couple of questions. One of the things I noticed on the site plan when I looked into this before, that there is only one egress. When you have 100 plus homes and cars that are going to empty out on 31, is there a reason that we don't have a second egress, perhaps on 11? I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but it looks as though we're forcing a lot of traffic onto one road to empty into an already very busy road on 31. That's one of my questions. My second question is, what is the definition of a private road? Is that a road that will be serviced by the town in terms of plowing, et cetera, maintenance? I do not know. I'm asking that question to see what that would be. And the third question that I had on this was the townhouses. The townhouse itself, as I look at the picture, it looks as though it has a shared garage and adjacent housing. I want to know if they have, the housing is in the middle or the housing is on the opposite sides. So that the living spaces, I've seen them where they have adjacent garages and then the living spaces on the sides. You essentially don't have a lot of noise from the other apartment, other condo rather. So I'm looking to see how that is configured in the middle. And those are my questions.
Thanks. Tim, do you want to answer those questions for him? Thank you.
So first, there is not a secondary egress. We tried very hard to get the secondary egress to the American Legion to the west. That was unsuccessful, let's put it that way. But in regards to that, we did get full approval from the fire department as far as any type of fire safety issues with the one egress point. And again, full DOT traffic study has been done. It has been approved by the state DOT. So as far as traffic coming out onto Route 31, that shouldn't be an issue. I will also say that as far as the size of the lot and acreage of the lot, we in theory could have had like 140 units or 40 units total. We're down to 120. That is what the state DOT has approved for us. So we're trying to work with everybody as far as making everybody happy.
And before you go on, I got one question. Are they planning on, because it's a PUD, they have more property back there, are they planning on developing it more?
No,
You know, okay.
no, we cannot. The 120 is the unit. That's
Okay.
the unit count. As far as private road, this is it's going to be all private road maintained by the property owners and the owners of the the town will not be maintaining these roads.
Okay.
And I think that was all.
The garage.
Oh, so, sorry, yep, I forgot that. So there's gonna be a firewall here, and then the separate living spaces on this side and this side. If you go to, I think, this one here, it kind of highlights it a little bit. We didn't have a floor plan. Maybe this one over here. Try that one. I just wanted, there we go. If you zoom into this area of the, can you, how do we zoom in? Right here. If you hit that. Oh, she can't see my screen on hers.
Zoom in.
Yep, just one more might do it. So here are the townhouse units, how they sit. So you'll have one separate unit on this side and one separate unit on this side. These are roughly the garages that stick out towards the road here. And again, in the middle is going to be a firewall. I personally live in a unit just like this, and I do not hear anything from my neighbor.
Anything else? Does anyone have anything else? Okay,
I had another question, I apologize. That picture right there. Can I have your? Or I can just show you that. But I wanted to see it, so. Here and here. Is there a reason why those don't connect? I think it was stormwater management. Yeah, so we had to use that for stormwater management.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This side. Yes.
and is there something else that the codes department is making you do because there's only one entrance that goes into the
Yep.
place?
Sprinklers for everything. That's also part of the health and safety standards that we have to adhere to.
Okay. And you were unsuccessful at getting a cut through?
Because we were unsuccessful with that cut through. Yep.
Okay.
So there'll be sprinklers in the townhouses as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
First of all, with the new comprehensive plan that's been approved and all the new zoning has been approved, this is zone general commercial. This actually falls under spot zoning at this point in time because we've just set up a whole new zoning system with the comprehensive plan. As a Realtor, I learned I have to do my due diligence, which is something that everybody does when they're in this world. But I went into the county planning and I printed their draft. This was on May 21st is when they held their meeting in regards to what was proposed to them from this, from the planning board. These are their comments. And it's first of all, it says, the board does not object to the use of the planned district governed development on the subject site. However, as reflected in the board's prior 2021 informal review and other reviews, the board reiterates certain concerns and recommendations regarding the development of the site proposal. 1, the applicant must continue to coordinate with New York State Route 31 access plans in regards to transportation. Also, the requirements of the applicant must submit the lighting plan, stormwater, pollution protection, the SWIP, and a full build out to meet the department requirements. The municipality must ensure any mitigation to be determined by the department is reflected on the project's plan. And as of this condition, it should be a condition before municipal approval. Any proposed development in placement of fill-in or drainage, the state and the federal wetlands, the 100-foot state buffer requires appropriate permits, which Tim has just stated that they have the permit. I'm curious, this permit has to come from the Army Corps of Engineers, not the DEC. And lots of DEC also has wetlands in this area. The DEC, prior to the proposed development on the property to obtain a negative parcel jurisdictional determination for the DEC or coordinate with the regular DEC staff to determine if wetland permit is required. Any required wetland mitigation must be reflected prior to approval of this plan. The development is reliant on a single access drive to serve 120 housing units without a secondary means of access, including the emergency vehicles. The single access point is also located on the congested New York State Route 31 corridor, which makes the ingress and egress from the site difficult at peak times. Potential future roadway changes may be including the addition of extra lanes in the area, but improvements to conditions are not guaranteed. The board encourages that the town require a secondary means of access in the condition of the site plan approval. Public ownership of roadways within the development is suggested. That's public, not private. To ensure orderly development, future connections to the future roadways, and allow for high standards for the design, usage, and maintenance of the roads. The town, in concert with the town of Clay, is encouraged to continue the plans for future Route 31, Route 11 corridors, and for providing interconnect local networks according to the lands behind the corridors, alleviating pressure on the primary roadways. Number 6, as this site is located within the town center area where the town's new comprehensive plan, additional consideration and site planning to ensure compliance with town development, design, and density goals is encouraged by the board. In particular, the board recommends identifying and facilitating future cross connections with current and potential future development, such as Taco Bellagio, to allow for potential future municipal roadways and adjacent parcels in the rear. Consideration of alternate site plans to encourage a more cohesive layout and relationship between housing types on the site. Provision of more beneficial green space, including planted wetland, stream corridor, and stormwater basin buffers, preserving the mature trees covered and the possible walking trails. Establishing on-street parking along with the internal road network in lieu of large parking lots and considers the pedestrians, bicycles, and bus accommodation, including access to transit and the ease of school buses and movement on the site. Number 7, this is the last one. The town is encouraged to maintain as much tree coverage as possible to aid in the buffering of the wetlands, buffering of the noise and neighborhood land users, improving aesthetics, and managing stormwater on the site. Even if a permit is not required, disturbance of wetlands and drainage features may have a significant impact upstream and downstream on the site, causing issues in the future of landowners due to flood and other situations and in the town. Thank you.
Tim, I believe there's sidewalks, right, that go around all the properties, the townhomes in front of them, or are the roads wider?
Yep, yeah, we don't have any on-street parking that is proposed. All our parking is, the parking required for the apartments are around the apartment areas, which makes sense. And the garages and the length of the individual driveways for the townhouses is sufficient parking for each one of those units. Just kind of going back through some of those. Again, and I apologize, I thought that this board was a little bit more up to date with some of the things that we have done. We did get state DOT to reiterate their approvals before we even went into the site plan process with the planning board, specifically their concerns with Micron. So the approval for the 120 units onto Route 31 with the full access onto Route 31 has been already approved and secondarily approved prior to our site plan process with the town. So you guys should have all the emails on that correspondence with the DOT. Going back down through there is no mitigation required as far as Route 31. We already vetted that with the state DOT. That was another reason why we're going down to 120 units. If we start getting more units, then yeah, we're probably gonna have to do some mitigation. And again, there is a full set of landscape plans and that you guys should have that shows all the buffering and all the trees and all the foliage that we're proposing for the site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Come on up.
Crazy questions. Do the apartments have fire stops from all the way to the roof line? Or does it stop and it's an open roof?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
We haven't seen the construction documents yet, so we don't know how they will separate the areas, but there'll be typical, apartment construction requires 1 hour rated apartment unit, 2 hour rated hallways and corridors. And then you're gonna be limited to area based on the type of construction and the fire separation to provide. My expectation, just looking at the layout, there will be fire separation between the two buildings.
Not floor to ceiling, not floor to roof line.
The whole time you separate the ceiling is if you have occupied attic space for storage or
Right.
habitation. There will be smoke barriers in there. That's required over 2,000 square feet or 2 units, whatever is less, but there's not a requirement to separate with a fire barrier to the roof.
So here's my only concern with one entrance in, and I'm not for it or against it. I'm just, it's my fire brain. One road in, this past winter, Lysander lost 2 entire apartment buildings because it was all open on top. With one route in, I don't see any hydrants. I get it, the roads are wider, but it's a tactical nightmare right now looking at it with the trucks, the engines, the rescues, the cops, the people you're gonna get, the fire we just had up at the Cicero Apartments. I mean, thank God they had the fire stop it will jump as well. But just the congestion in those apartments with only one way in, we're getting in there and then we're not moving. We're literally, you're gonna put all your fire trucks there and that's where they're gonna sit. So like I said, I'm not for it or against it. Just want to make sure there's enough water supply, more than enough water supply to get all that, because once we get in there, we're not bringing tankers in to get any more water supply. With mains, I don't know how big the mains are coming in. I don't know if there's a retention pond. I don't know. It's just my fire brain thinking fire. So.
Thanks.
Just to reiterate, we did have a physical sit down with the fire chief. There are hydrants proposed. Again, I'm just looking at a general plan here. There's a much more detailed, full contract drawing set of plans that the town does have. We had to move around a few hydrants for the fire department to make them comfortable with the situation. With the width of the road and with the hydrants, I have a letter right from the fire chief that says that he's totally fine and for this project and its current configuration.
Thank you. Come on up.
Would you be able to pull up the map back to where the egress starts? That's we represent the first buttering property on the left. There's also obviously a residential buttering property on the right. And thank you for this. Yeah, so we're here. There's another buttering property on the right. And then obviously there's a stretch of a few properties down here before the post office. So specifically with the road, and just, few questions, few comments, but in particular, obviously the congestion of the road has been brought up to be a primary issue with 120 units in development. There is a definite concern not only for congestion, but we also brought up the question and asked zoning if they coordinated with DOT on potentially putting a light there or something that can at least, allow the traffic to be a little bit more safer. The speed of the road is already fast. These two roadway areas are generally narrow. There's not really too much of an off ramp here on the right. So turning left to get into the property with all the traffic that goes in and out at high speeds, especially with neighboring properties right here and there and here and there, we feel that it could cause some safety potential related issues. So again, just bringing it up as a comment. We don't know what's been fully approved by DOT or not. And then as far as the roadway is concerned here, the one question would be, is there going to be any work done on the road to widen the road prior to, this project starting where the egress, gets built? We just want to know if the egress is going to start and this project's going to start prior to the road, any potential changes to the road. We just want to know if one thing is happening before the other. Because it does, it raises a few things. But besides that, as far as the egress is concerned, my questions are, and if you could answer this as one, we just want to know how wide the road's going to be. Because this is not that wide of an area. It's actually very narrow. So just want to know the length of the road. We want to know the length between the road and the neighboring properties here that butter each side. We also want to know if there was mention of a sidewalk. Want to know if there's going to be, if there's plan on being a sidewalk here. So that's just just one question or a few questions there. And then as far as the property line back here and the water related matters, obviously there's stormwater concerns everywhere and where the water goes. And obviously it seems like everything was obviously really well looked into overall, and, all due diligence, it seems like there's a lot of great due diligence provided and stuff like that. But there was one area where I just want to know if it was considered behind the property lines here. There's actually water that carries from property to property to property to property through our property, and then it comes into this little area and egress, and then it kind of fills, and I think it flows back here. So we want to know if there's proper area of drainage that's going to be accounted for in this area, because we just want to avoid any flooding for any melting in winter. It gets really flooded back there, including obviously for storm purposes. There's also a line of septic and leach fields back here, including this buttering property here, which is ours. So we just want to know if from environmental standards, if the leach field runoff is going to run right into this road. We just want to know if there is, if it's in meeting environmental standards. Don't know if that question can be answered today. So just as far as this is concerned, that's, I think, kind of the main part. We also would want to know, and we didn't really have a summary that defined it from, I'm assuming egress is going to be stage one, beginning of the project, but from building of this egress through getting all this done, we just want to know, where the starting points are going to be. Is it going to be everything at once? Is it going to be focusing on this area first or this area? And then we just want to obviously know what the overall timing considerations are going to be. How many years, assuming it's going to take to get all this done. It is, again, a concern for buttering properties here with trucks and various things coming in and out every single day for a very long time. And then obviously with the traffic and everything that happens, and then obviously ongoing, there's, but the potential for all the micron stuff, even though that's TBD. So anyways, that would be the other thing we'd want to know. And then lastly, too, you guys have received some questions from people out that weren't able to make it. We just want to know who would be the best point of contact as far as where to send any follow-up questions to. And if that can be an open line of communication that formally is supposed to go through you guys, that then can make it back to Montroy, or if it's something where we're allowed to communicate directly with Montroy regarding any follow-up or additional questions. So that would be it.
Oh, thank you. Anybody can feel free to contact me directly. I welcome questions. It's easier to get the questions ahead of time and then answer them for them when we get to the meeting. If you go to, I want to say it's one of these, if you go, try to go to this one. Nope, this one, go to that one. This one here. Yep. Yep. If you go down, I think one of the, to page 2. Oh, no, right there. Okay, so if you slide over a little bit to answer one of the questions. Okay, this is a little bit of a blow up of that drive here, Route 31 still down here, the main property's up here. So the pavement width is 24 feet, okay? We do, one of the restrictions and one of the planning board comments was specifically about drainage in this area. So we do have drainage in this area to carry the water back to the basins. But they specifically wanted us to separate. At one point, we had the sidewalk right next to the pavement, but we were able to gain some grass area in between the sidewalk and the pavement. But the one reason why we can't move this sidewalk over is drainage purposes. We have drainage swales in that area. So in order to keep the proper drainage, we had to keep the sidewalk closer. So yes, we saw that issue. We mitigated that issue, and that shouldn't be an issue moving forward. As far as septic designs and that being in the area, that shouldn't be a concern. We meet all again, a full SWIP, full engineering plan has been done, has been reviewed by the town engineer. As far as widening the road, we wouldn't be widening anything until New York State does we don't even know the plans for New York State, so it's kind of pointless for us to do any work in that area, but we will put the driveway in as it sits today, where the pavement sits today. And then obviously it'll have to be somewhat redesigned once New York State does their thing. Again, just want to reiterate, we would not have come in here without a full DOT review and a full DOT traffic study approval from the state DOT. That was my very first thought 5 years ago when we started talking about this. So that has been mitigated. There shouldn't be any traffic issues. If needed, I can have the traffic expert come in and talk about the traffic study a little bit more if any board members or the public want that. But again, that has all been mitigated and all gone through previously. I can send it to you directly.
Just make sure you guys connect before you leave. And if anyone else wants any information, see.
I just introduce myself. My name's Dave Montroy and my project. I'm actually on the town board in the town of Sullivan right next door. I own a bunch of few communities. I'm very hands-on. Sorry. I want to be, or I will be on the job the whole time. I don't want to have problems with neighbors. I'll talk to all of you afterwards. I'll give you my personal cell phone. We have a family-run business. We're just trying to bring in some affordable housing. And it's been 4 years. I've got a ton of money into this. I've been trying to do everything you guys have asked. Bringing sidewalks in. I mean, the sidewalks are really going nowhere. They wanted them farther out with the grass, but then we ran into the drainage problem where we were trying to take care of the neighbor here.
Right.
And it's hard to explain that to everybody. Like everything you ask for affects something else. And we really tried to take care of everybody's concern. And I have no problem giving everybody my personal cell phone, and you can reach out to me anytime. And if there's any other questions that I can personally answer, I will.
Yeah, we just wanted to know how many years projected on this project.
So I started 4. No, I'm sorry. I started this 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't moved a piece of dirt yet. So it's hard to, from the time that we actually start, it's probably gonna be a couple-year project. Again, depending on, so our first phase, because you did ask that, at this point, is probably gonna be the apartments behind your place. So we gotta tie into the main sewer is actually in the wetlands. So we would probably tie that on, and we'd probably start on those first 2 apartment buildings on that side. And I did reach out, I've met with the fire department. They asked for, actually a few times, and the fire chief would have been here. He asked for a couple more fire hydrants. I said, no problem, whatever you want, I'll put in there. I tried to work with, the Legion, the VFW there, and I just couldn't get anything. I tried everything I could. And that was, but the fire department's comfortable with everything that we came up with. So, and everything will be totally sprinkled. Townhouses and the apartments.
Mr. Montroy, are these going to be market rate apartments?
What's that?
Are these going to be market rate apartments?
Yes.
Okay. You said affordable, and I didn't know if you, what
Well,
you meant by that. Yeah. I just-
Affordable nowadays is.
Well, yeah, I know, but I wasn't sure if they were affordable housing, like income limited, or if you
No.
meant market rate.
Nope.
Okay. But
Nope.
market rate, but affordable.
Correct.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I'm just, I mean, the sidewalks is a huge, like the planning board wanted that. I mean, that's a huge expense to kind of go nowhere. And now I'm stuck, I tried to fight to get to that wetland, but we're maxed out on getting the road and the utilities and keeping the road wide enough to cross there.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Nope.
That I can personally answer?
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that being said, we will not vote on this tonight, and the date's certain for June 25th at 6:30 PM. Are you okay with that?
Yes, so moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I want to thank everyone for that. Thank you for your time. See you on the 25th.
You left it.
I left it open. Yep, yep.
All right. Number 6, move the adoption resolution to approve immaculate commercial cleaning, doing business as, is it Michael? It's actually Michael Welch Senior doing business as immaculate cleaning, right, Ms. Castleman?
Correct.
That's reversed. Okay, let me start again. Move the adoption resolution to approve Michael Welch Senior doing business as immaculate commercial cleaning, North Syracuse, New York, to provide town hall custodial services per town hall custodial services contract in the amount of $14,800 annually, $25 hourly, for a starting date of June 16th, 2025, with a contract end date of June 30th, 2026. All required insurance documentation has been provided. Budget code 001-1620-4100-0000.
Second.
Oh, sorry,
Nope.
we received one other bid during cleaning services in the amount of $22,800 annually or $35 hourly. Sorry.
Second.
Discussion. Well, first thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank Richard Boise, who has been our cleaning person here in the town hall. How many years, Tracy? Since 2000. And he's recently retired, and I want to wish him well. And I want to also thank Tracy, Gretchen, give me some names. Jackie and all the, Tori, vacuuming and cleaning the town hall for the last few weeks. Did an amazing job. I want to thank you for that. And we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Wish to vote no or abstain, passed.
4 Motorola M500 in-car camera systems. Move the adoption resolution to purchase 4 Motorola M500 in-car camera systems from Motorola Solutions in the amount of $41,386, paid for from $25,000 New York State FY 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, JAG program. Contract number T633242 and budget code 002-312-430-00000.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. You guys have anything for discussion?
But we've got the sidewalk.
Yes, go ahead with that one.
Do you want,
Well,
I'll read the resolution.
Yeah, read the
Yep.
resolution, we'll have a discussion.
Approve sidewalk on South Bay Road. Move for the adoption of resolution approving the installation of approximately 180 linear feet of 5 feet wide sidewalk along South Bay Road from Matilda Gage to Cicero Family Dental. Construction of the sidewalk will allow the Pastures neighborhood to be connected to the sidewalk network being constructed on Route 31. The cost will be approximately $24,000 and work will be performed under the existing contract with J.K. Tobin. The town of Cicero will be responsible for the maintenance of the sidewalk.
Second.
You want to do the transfer of budget code on there? Do you have one on yours? or no?
Don't have one.
On the next one there is.
Yeah.
Right there.
So don't second that yet. Transferred from budget code 001-1989-4000-0000.
Second as amended.
Okay, discussion. Kate, you want to give us a little rundown on this? We have a project over there now, I believe the dental office And
Right.
with the, construction, with the South Bay and 31 interchange, they've agreed to put sidewalks over there
Well,
as well.
sidewalks were going in for the Route 31 project and Circle K, they're redoing theirs. Cicero Family Dental's putting in. And so there was this 180-foot gap to tie in Matilda Gage, which Matilda Gage takes the whole Pastures neighborhood. So it was an opportunity that presented itself. And so we're working with a contractor and developer, but the contractor is luckily, the developer's contractor and the town's contractor is the same contractor. So we can do this. We will pay separately prevailing wage rates to J.K. Tobin and get this project done, and then we can get it connected. So I apologize for the last minute. This all just kind of came about, and they're close to constructing as soon as the weather breaks.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Nor abstain, pass. Nothing, you guys don't have anything? Well, I have a few things here. We were just notified by the DOT the other day. I think I just sent this to the board. I sent it to the town, the police department, the fire departments. National Grid is taking the opportunity to remove overhead wires that cross I-81 parallel to Salt Bay Road. The overhead wires were removed and transferred to the underground crossing. National Grid has permitted with Onondaga County to detour South Bay Road. Now note, South Bay Road from 7 p.m. on June 18th. We will also post this on our Facebook page and our webpage. That they will close the road at 7 p.m. on June 18th, possibly until 7 p.m. on June 19th, possibly earlier. We're not going to confirm that. And National Grid does expect to complete the work by the mid-morning on the 19th. And the South Bay Bridge replacement detour will remain in place, and the northbound South Bay Road detour will be Circle Drive to Route 11 to 31 to Thompson Road. So even though this is going to cause, this is actually on Juneteenth Day, so they did this specifically on that day in hopes that there's not a lot of traffic going on that day. But this is exciting because this is one of the things I've been pushing for some of our Route 31, Route 81 talks with the folks out there from DOT. We want to see the telephone poles go away. We want to see, if you're going to do these traffic enhancements on any of these major roadways, we want to clean Cicero up and ask them to bury all of the lines. So I've been a proponent of that for a while. This is for the town board. We have an interview tomorrow at 4:15. I think I sent an email out in my office tomorrow with a potential person to does anybody here want to join me?
Try.
Okay. Okay. And then DOT, we just met with DOT on Tuesday, and we received this exciting news, or should I say not so exciting news, more traffic improvements. They did not give us a date and time when they will start, but we will absolutely, when we get notified, when they get the bidding process is going on now, right, Kate? And when this is approved, we'll know exactly when it's going to start. So there's going to be a traffic improvement on Crabtree. If you're going northbound on Route 11 right now, and you want to take a right on Crabtree, there's going to be a triangle piece in there, so you can turn right, but you can't, when you come out, you have no choice but to turn right out northbound on 11. And they're also going to close down Crabtree Lane at the end, so there's no more cutting through. Okay. There's another enhancement on I believe it's Bear Road extension going southbound on Bear Road. They're going to be widening that entrance, correct?
Bear Road and Route 11.
Bear Road or
Go to the 481
right.
entrance.
Yep. There's a few here. And on the 31 to 81 on ramp, They're going to widen and make it more of, I'll have these on, if anybody wants to see these. I'm gonna see if I can grab these on a thumb drive or have them send them to me via email so I can share them with the public. But it might even be on their website. They're going to take the on-ramp there. As you see it now, you come up to the light and you stop, and then you got to take a right and wait for traffic. They're going to pull it back a little farther, and they're going to extend it so it has a more of a holding, should I say, not a holding area, but an area where there's
Right, you're talking eastbound on Route 11.
eastbound on 31 to 81 South. Right?
Yep.
And they're going to do some traffic improvements on Bear Road and Route 11. Looks like some crosswalks across there. I see. And the biggest one that they have in here is, this is just a temporary one. They're going to put up some poles and they're going to put another light at Lakeshore Road, where you come out where Lakeshore and 31 come out where Rancho Viejo, that's right where that is. They're going to put a traffic light there. And like I said, I'll have these, if anybody wants to take these, that's on a temporary fix right now, but I figured I'd share this with everyone. And if anybody's got any questions, we can reach out to DOT and get some more information.
And I think just to clarify a little bit, so I think everyone knows that there's major improvements coming because of Micron, that Route 31 will likely get widened. They're fixing the bridge over the I-81 bridge over 31, but they recognize that we have serious traffic issues, so they're trying to get out in advance these intersection improvements that don't need to go through the same environmental studies that the big project is going to have to go through, because that's going to be several years away.
Right.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yes. Okay. Does anyone like to come up and say anything? Come on up.
Well, I have a comment. Earlier this year, I believe it was around January, so we had a discussion about people who were nominated for a planning board. And there were two candidates, and we discussed them, or they were discussed rather than we had public input. And at that point, we were told that two of these candidates had paperwork that was either lost, didn't get filed on time, not received. There were a number of excuses about this, and we had to accept that as what it was. And recently, a mailer came out from one of our political parties in town. And I'd like to quote what this mailer said. In 2025, Mike Aragano tried to put perennial Democrat working families candidate Judy Boyke on the planning board. The town board stopped him. Now, what I want to know is, was that paperwork really lost or misplaced or not received? Or was this blatant political partisanship that you tried to deny someone from the Democratic Party / Working Families Party who is eminently qualified to be on the planning board, and she was not allowed to be? I'm very concerned about this because this is a lack of transparency. This is something that this town cannot have, and we've been having it over and over again. So if you'd like to comment, because I thoroughly remember this conversation about the paperwork was somehow not received. Any comment, or do we just? Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, would that be one more?
Sorry, I didn't walk fast enough. Like I said, I'm not for or against any development, but thank you for kind of holding until you got more information on it. I really hope our board, whoever gets in, however we go forward, the town of Cicero is growing so fast right now, and we are putting up houses. We're trying to do commercial. We have a big town, but half of our town is water, between the swamp and the wetlands on everybody's property. And every time we build something, it changes the topography and it floods somebody out. Cicero Center never flooded before. Cicero Center floods now. I just hope going forward that we keep in mind that clay is going to explode exponentially. And we have such a mixed variety of what we have in the town of Cicero. We have agriculture, we have commercial, we have big commercial, we have residential, we have recreational. We have so much stuff. And I know the comprehensive plan, they kept pushing for, they want more access to the lake, more access to the lake. The South Shore really doesn't have public access to the lake except Williams Beach. That's really kind of our only public access. I just want the board to like remember going forward in all the decisions you guys make that we really need to think about what we want the town to look like in 10, 20, 30 years. Because it's kind of scary, not gonna lie. It's really kind of scary with some of the developments that these people are dreaming up for the town of Cicero and what they think we need to be. I think the town of Cicero needs to be what we want it to be, not what developers want us to be.
Thank you. Make a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.